place. You're not attracting victimhood situations, but you understand your worth, you understand your value, and you seek after people who see your value and your worth. You have personal goals for yourself. You understand that life is not always, going to give you exactly everything that you want at the same time, but you know that is not a testimony of your worth. And that is significant. I have here, as usual, the healed version of me. This is a part of the brand, the book written by yours truly. And also we have support group counseling and also t-shirts with affirmations. All of this, really just captures the whole idea of you having a new identity in Christ and you are understanding your worth as an individual and putting on that whole new identity and advocating for yourself. So my name is Peter G. Graham. I am a counselor, author, and educational psychologist, and I am here tonight as your host to continue our discussion on last week, where we were talking about how we respond to crisis and how we navigate our way further in our healing. I have here as a tagline too for my book where I say, if cast down, disempowered, and less than is how people often make you feel, then it's time to heal. And so this is our tagline that we're going to be, saying the buzzwords, that we're going to be saying now and going into next year, that if a cast down, disempowered, and less than is, and I put less than in quotation marks, if that's how people make you feel often, then it is time to heal. I feel a need to sort of expand on that just a little bit. People don't make us feel anything really, which is this is why I was so deliberate in saying it that way, because one of the reasons why I was so deliberate in saying it that way is because that's how we tend to view it. We tend to say that people make us feel that way. So people are more likely to identify with this. But when you actually come to me now for sessions, when you come to me, when you read the book, or when you come to group therapy, then you understand a little bit more that, it is not about people making you feel anything. It's about you understanding that you are an individual of worth outside of however people treat you. And you don't have to succumb to the idea and be bogged down by people's opinions. You are the one who choose to be offended, really. So the whole idea of the healed version of me is really help you to choose different belief systems about yourself, different beliefs about your worth, different beliefs about your destiny, different beliefs about the people who you hang around, different beliefs, about your future, different beliefs about your overall sense of self. And so that is the idea. So the disempowered and cast down and less than is really a mindset that we heap on ourselves. It is not that people's actions don't influence us, but the truth is we give permission and power to what people say and do to us. It is not a case where we're going to leave anything to happen to us. Of course not. But we understand that when people call us names and they try to bully us and they try to belittle us and they exclude us and ostracize us, we understand it's not about us. We don't take it personally anymore. We understand that this is not going to define me. This is not going to make me feel less than. I'm not going to look around me and compare myself to other people. I'm not going to say, oh, because I'm me, why them not treat me so? No. We are not going to do that. We're going to give ourselves the permission to believe that these people are missing out. They don't see our worth. They don't know who we are. They don't get to tell us who we are. I have an example to share. So today, I had a comment said about me, a particular comment that I've heard before. Someone said that in Jamaican terms, me tan bad. And I also remember hearing that a lot from my father and other persons in my family. They used to say that a lot. And of course, naturally, the mental response or the feelings, started to surface and come again. And, feeling like if these people are saying it, then maybe it's true. And then I stopped myself, which is something that you are supposed to do. Stop myself and I said, this is not true about me. And if you look at the people who are saying these things, they all share something in common. And so therefore means that this doesn't give credit to what they're saying. Because these people, they themselves, they say and do things that could also be categorized as them tanba too. You know, so this is so what is happening is that it calls for us to have a higher level of reasoning when it comes down to us managing our emotions. It doesn't take emotion to manage emotion per se. It takes a mindset. It takes a different belief system. It takes mental and spiritual work. But what happens is that it takes a higher level of reasoning, because in the past, naturally, I would have said, oh, she thinks this about me too. It must be true. And maybe I'm not as good as I think I am, and all these things. And I'm like, no. These people, of course, people have a tendency to misunderstand. People have a tendency to look at things one way. So in other words, you can't always trust somebody else's judgment about you. And I've learned that, because people have their own biases. They see things a particular way. And so it goes back to the question. Look at the people who are saying these things about me. They are not exactly fair in their judgment. They haven't been the most the fairest person in my life. You know, they have done and said things that have hurt me significantly. And so when I look at the pattern, I'm saying, and it's also coming from those people only. I've never heard it from other people who I have associated with. So I'm like, okay. I've heard a saying that says, people don't like me, but and the thing is, they don't like, it's not that they don't like me, they don't like what they didn't get to do to me. You know, so I kind of put some similarity there. So the bottom line is, when these experiences repeat themselves, we have to understand that whatever trauma or traumatic thought it might bring on, we have to decide that we're going to be strong about this, we're going to be reasonable about this, and not allow, yes, the thoughts are going to come, but we're going to choose one thought over another and another over another. So it's a higher level of reasoning. We can't be settling. Last week we spoke about how we created some rules when we were 5 and we have to start renegotiating them. It's the same thing. If 10 people are saying something about you, yes, you might want to check yourself, but at the end of the day, we want to also understand that our majority is not always right. And if we look at the people who are saying some of these things about us, we look at their characteristics, not to justify our behavior or our shortcomings. No. But if you look at the characteristics of these people are people who are often unfair. These are people who are impatient and intolerant. They are not in a position to give a fair judgment about your character. And so if somebody who is abusive in their thought, in their talk towards you, are often unfair and unjust towards you, and then they're going to say to you that you're tan bad, that's not credible, is it? So if you look at the people who are saying some of the things that are being said about you, then it can give you a breath of fresh air and a new line of reasoning for you to understand. So I want you guys to start thinking. Don't just absorb what people say and allow it to bring you down. But you have to have that mental stronghold that says to you that no, this is not true. You have to start reasoning things with yourself and decide that this is not what I'm going to believe. Because this can't be credible. This can't be true. And if you look at the paradox, I have other people in my life who have been fair to me, who are not quick to judge me, and they don't call me that. So then when you look at it, you start to weigh, and you say, but it's not we tend to want to say a lot of the times everybody say that, but the truth is it's not true. And when I think about it, It's one or two people. It's not a lot of people who say that. And these one or two people are people who have been unfair. I've had some problems or some conflict with. And I'm like, okay, then there seems to be obviously some other issue there why they would even say that. So I cannot go then and start taking this judgment on myself and say, oh, I can't bad with you. No. You can't just absorb what people say, the negative things about you, and make it about you. Sometimes you have to also think that people are responding to what's going on in their minds. They sometimes create a narrative different from what is actually done or said, and they paint you as the villain in their story. You can't take that on. You can't carry that weight. And so it's time for you to give yourself permission to remove yourself from that, to put down that weight, and allow yourself to live. Last week, we also said that we're not going to allow our tomorrow to be like yesterday. So it means that we're going to have to stand, at a different place, and to understand that we are moving forward. We are just going to be deliberate and intentional, that the things that used to hold us down yesterday, the thoughts, the people who used to hold us down yesterday, are not going to get that anymore from us. We're not going to allow this to be, what gets us down. So it's a holiday season, and many of us have to stay with family. And I know